tackling of the Soviet Union, and he won with this jump right here. That was a height of 7 feet 9 3/4 inches to win the indoor championships. Now, remember, tomorrow we'll be back with more from the
Today on Sports World. The greatest track and field athletes from 90 countries around the world have gathered in Indianapolis, Indiana to compete in the first IAAF World Indoor Championships. Coming into this final day of the championships, 5 world records have been set, including the men's 60-meter dash. Here comes Ben Johnson. It's going to be Johnson and McKoy Witherspoon leading in at third. 6:41 unofficial. If it holds, it's a world record. It did hold, and then Heike Drexler was set to challenge for the women's 200-meter record. And it is Drexler, and then Audie Page and Grace Jackson. 22:28. She did it. It was her second gold medal of the day, having already won the long jump. And Greg Foster left no doubt who is king of the 60-meter hurdles with his world record in the semifinals on Friday. Greg Foster in lane 7. He's got an excellent start. Foster is out in front. Foster is leading the way. He's over the 3rd hurdle. The 4th. He's going for the record. Foster, he's got it. 7:46, a new world record. Today, Greg Foster and other great competitors continue to challenge the records as the first World Indoor Championships continue here on Sports World. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Hoosier Dome. I'm Charlie Jones, along with Frank Shorter, Dwight Stones, Missy Kane, and Larry Rawson. This is the first World Indoor Track and Field Championships. We had excitement yesterday, more today. But right now, let's go back to an event that happened just moments ago here in Indianapolis. The finals of the men's 60-meter hurdles. The world indoor record is 7:46, set by Greg Foster here in Indianapolis 2 days ago. And we have a great field for you, including the top 3 hurdlers in the world last year. In lane 1 from Spain is Javier Maracho. In lane 2 from Finland is Arto Brigera, the 1987 European indoor champion. In lane 3 is Tonie Campbell of the United States 1985 World Cup champion. In lane 4 is Mark McKoy of Canada, the former world record holder until Friday. In lane 5, the great Greg Foster, now the world record holder with that 7:46 here. In lane 6, the youngster, 19-year-old Colin Jackson of Great Britain, the world junior champion. In lane 7 from France, and in 1985, the World Games champion in Paris. That was the preliminary for this event, Stephane Caristan. And in lane 8 is Nigel Walker of Great Britain, who was 3rd in the European Indoor Championship. Different on the other because we didn't have the insurance.
Greg Foster has his technique down. If he doesn't make any mistakes, he'll definitely win the race. He said in the semifinal heat where he set the world record that he made 2 minor mistakes, one up at the first hurdle, one on the last. Maybe if he makes just 1 mistake, we'll see another world record.
Foster in lane 5. And it is McKoy. McKoy has the great start. McKoy's out in front. McKoy goes down. Foster goes down. And Tonie Campbell wins it. And in addition, I thought Maracho with a false start in lane 1. But it was not called.
I think Greg Foster has cramped up again. In the Millrose games a couple of weeks ago, we saw that he cramped, and I think it was that same left leg. He's moving, and he's in pain. And I don't think he's in pain from the fall. I think it's more that he cramped up and had to stop running, and then he ran right into Tonie Campbell. Or Mark McKoy, I'm sorry.
Foster with that cramping problem at the TAC championship a week ago. And Larry Ross is down there. Larry?
Okay, Mark, what happened?
We just collided.
He hit you. He seemed to run into problems with the hurdles first, right?
I just felt him hit my back arm. And
you're okay?
Put me down. Yeah, I'm all right.
Okay, Greg's down the ground. Thanks.
So the collision between Greg Foster and Mark McKoy.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Larry, we can hear you. And
okay, Greg has a cut on the back of his left thigh. It's quite pronounced. It's about 6 inches long.
Oh,
running up the back. He's taken the skin off. He's actually cut. As you can see, the cut extends up into his left buttocks.
It didn't seem to me, though, Larry, that that's what caused him to go down. It's more like he went down, and in the tumble, he was cut. He went down for a different reason. Did you see anything?
I didn't, but this may have been caused, I'm guessing in this, Frank, by the edge of the hurdle, the way the circular motion is, and he really powered through a couple of hurdles. And I think the tumble, and I have not seen the replay, I think that's what caused him to take down Mark McKoy.
here's another look. McKoy with the great start.
Vince, can I just ask him? Can I ask him?
We're still clean. Yeah.
Oh,
Foster.
There was a collapse. Foster's leg just collapsed out from underneath, and then he goes down and probably right there cuts his leg on the edge of the hurdle.
And did he reach out with his left arm and hit McKoy? Is that when he stumbled, he reached out just like for a balance? We'll take a look at it from head on. Meanwhile, Tonie Campbell out in front. He wins the gold medal.
Greg Foster on the left. No one seemed to have any trouble, although Mark McKoy was out ahead, but he's drifting over in his lane. Foster drifts over to him. I think that was coincidence. They're running. Foster was actually out of his lane, then his leg collapsed, and then they ran into each other.
Now let's go down to Larry again.
Thank you, Charlie. Greg, you don't know what happened. You just hit a hurdle?
I have no idea.
Thank you.
From the replay, he hits the second hurdle. That throws him off balance. He gets too far to his left into the lane of Mark McKoy. Never came back, and I don't know if he picked up a cramp along the way also, or he was just stumbling, reached out for balance, and then the collision, and they both went down along with the hurdles. Now that took place before we went on the air, and we are now live. And now let's go down to Larry Rawson.
Thank you, Charlie. I spoke with Dr. John Russell, who told me he had examined Greg. He said he has abrasions. He was cut. It looks like it might have been a spike wound, but he's fine. There appears to be no pulled muscles. He's having the leg iced right now. Back upstairs.
Here are the official results. Tonie Campbell is the winner in extra time, 7:51. Stephane Caristan finishing second. And then it is Nigel Walker third, and Jackson finishes fourth. And that is the story in the men's 60-meter hurdles. Coverage, he is down on the floor. Dwight Stones, Frank Shorter, Missy Kane. I'm Charlie Jones. Missy, we've had excitement already today.
Well, we've had some unfortunate things happen today, but just like yesterday, some things happened, unfortunately, at the first part, but then it got great. Today, we had the women's 1,500 meters, one of the premier events in indoor track and field, and Samolenko for the Soviet Union is going to try to get her second gold of this meet.
Frank Shorter.
And Greg Foster's technique failed him. Either his leg or his technique failed him. He drifted out of his lane and took everybody else down with him within reach.
And when he hit one of the early hurdles, that threw him off stride. His momentum carried him to a left. He couldn't bring his momentum back to straightaway. We'll be back with more of the Indoor Championships in just a moment.
Yes.
Thank you, Ahmad. We're back at the IAAF World Indoor Championships here at the Hoosier Dome. And Dwight Stones, you've heard from Frank and Missy. Dwight, what is going on in the field events?
Well, as usual, Mike Conley in the triple jump waiting till near the end of the competition to pop a big one. He's just taken the lead on his final jump. But the Soviet, who he came back on last week, has one more jump left. So it's not over till it's over. But Conley's in a good spot.
All right, so we'll have coverage of that. In addition, a lot of exciting races. Frank, what do you look forward to as far as the men are concerned?
In the 200 meters, Kirk Baptiste is a tremendous amount of talent waiting for a breakthrough. Today may be his big breakthrough in the 200 meters for men.
And Missy, I'm looking forward to the women's 1,500. It's always an exciting race, and that's your specialty. You were an Olympian in that event.
It's a great event. I think it'll be very tactical and fast last lap.
Dwight, let's go back to you and Mike Conley.
Well, as I said, in the 6th round, Michael Conley came up in second place. He had a number of good jumps that put him in contention for the silver medal. He was in second position, but he was behind the Soviet. Same thing as last week at the TAC meet. He was behind the Soviet going into the last round. This time, Conley is jumping first in the order. Technically, a great jump, especially the final phase of that jump, the jump phase.
And he does get excited, doesn't he?
Now, Michael Conley, again, he's such an aggressive, outstanding competitor. And that is really what comes down to. 6 jumps. When it's time to really put the pressure on, Mike Conley always comes through.
And the next running event is going to be the women's 400-meter dash. This is a 200-meter track, so that's twice around. The world indoor record, 49.59. Jarmila Kratochvilova set that in Milan in 1982. 2 laps here. In the field in lane 1 is Esme Lawrence of Canada. Judit Forgacs of Hungary is in lane 2. Rosica Stamanova, Bulgaria, is in 3. The favorite is in lane 4. That's Sabine Busch of East Germany. Lillie Leatherwood King, the wife of Emmett King of the United States, is in lane 5. Olga Nazarova of the Soviet Union is in lane 6. Women's 400-meter dash. Sabine Busch in lane 4. We are live at the Hoosier Dome. Sabine Busch is also one of the world's best 400-meter hurdlers, and they'll come up.
You're right, Charlie. She had the world record in the 400-meter hurdles, and last year it was broken by a Soviet. She's a tall runner. It's going to be interesting to watch her in the curves because taller runners tend to swing wide up in the curves, which slows down their time. But she looked very good yesterday, and I think this track is made a lot better than some indoor tracks, but it has such big, wide lanes and big, wide turns that you can do a lot better in the turns.
Sabine stands 5'10". This is a Mondo track. Built in Italy. And excellent comments on it from the athletes. In fact, one of the problems in the hurdles that Greg Foster told Missy earlier is that the track is almost too fast between the hurdles and throws off all your timing. Hard to come from behind in the hurdles. He may have been pressing a bit. That's just a thought. And we'll come up again.
Lillie Leatherwood King, she almost runs the 400 meters like an 800-meter runner because she tends to go out slowly and comes back very fast the last 200 meters. That's hard to do in the 400. It's almost an all-out event now, but she did get her personal best yesterday, breaking 53 seconds. So she might be someone to watch, especially that last 200 meters.
Stamanova, Rosica Stamanova, Bulgaria, she is in lane 3. Busch is next to her in lane 4. And Leatherwood King of the United States is in lane 5.
Bravo.
Sabine Busch. And this time we are away. And Lillie Leatherwood King closing the stagger on the Soviet runner. Nazarova outside, and now here comes Sabine Busch closing the stagger on Lillie Leatherwood King. And as they break for the pole, it will be Sabine Busch with Esme Lawrence of Canada running second.
Sabine Busch has such great knee lift right there. The 400 meters, you get tired after the 200-meter mark, but she still looks fresh. She has a great knee lift, and that's the key running the 400 meters.
And it is Nazarova of the Soviet Union who is running second. And Lillie Leatherwood King challenges for third on the outside. Goes for second. Goes after Sabine Busch. If she holds on, Lillie Leatherwood King will have second behind Sabine Busch of East Germany. An unofficial 51.67.
Great race for Lillie Leatherwood King. You can see she comes from behind, and I keep wondering if she really would go out a little quicker, what she could do, but that was a great race for her. Sabine Busch, she's broken 50 seconds outdoor. She ran the curves great.
Let's take another look. And
Look at
Lillie
Lillie
Leatherwood King
Leatherwood.
there is trailing the field. She starts her move going into the turn, and she has a long way to come.
Charlie, I think you can see that these turns, they're so much more gentler than some places like up in New York. So she can go around in lane 2 and still make up ground. Right here, she looks like she's running 800 meters the way she can kick in like that. I think that says a lot for some of the American 400-meter runners. They're coming on.
So Sabine Busch of East Germany has the title, but the silver medal will go to Lillie Leatherwood King of the United States. And we'll be back, Dwight Stone.
Charlie, this is right down to the wire. This is Oleg Protsenko of the Soviet Union, former world indoor record holder in the triple jump. Conley broke his record last week. But last week, Conley was jumping after Protsenko. So Protsenko had no chance to come back on Conley. This is Protsenko's last chance. He must jump further than 57.7 on this jump. He broke down in a step. That's it. Mike Conley is the world indoor champion in the triple jump on a final 6th round jump once again. Conley, just a competitive animal. Protsenko was going for it. He had to. This is his last chance. Good speed down the runway all day long, but you'll see here he hits the board very, very well, but when he comes down off the first phase of his jump, which is the hop phase, he hits very hard and his right leg collapses underneath him. No chance to complete the jump, and he knew that was the only chance he had. He has to settle for the silver medal.
There's still 2 jumpers remaining, but they don't have a shot at Conley, do they?
Not in my opinion. Michael has really stuck one out there, and I think the athletes realize that on this runway, that's a great jump for Mike Conley.
All right, now you qualify this runway. Tell me what you mean by that.
Well, I think they were having a lot of trouble in the prelims. There was parts of the runway that were a little soft, and they were absorbing a lot of the energy from the athletes. They have secured and stabilized the runway a bit, but I feel that a lot of these athletes can't handle the speed. This runway is maybe the fastest indoor runway in the world. That's the feeling I'm getting from the triple jumpers and the pole vaulters.
Maybe that was the problem as we go back to the men's 60-meter hurdles. Greg Foster got behind maybe the track too fast as he tried to catch up, and that caused a problem. We'll take another look as Foster hits the 2nd hurdle right here, and this throws him off. And now he is trailing. He's behind in the race here, so he is pressing. Now, when he goes down, he takes Mark McKoy with him. McKoy's from Canada. Canada has filed a protest in the men's 60-meter hurdles. And that, of course, all happened just before we went on the air. And we'll be back with more of the World Indoor Championship from Indianapolis in just a moment. Final, the men's 800 meters, the world indoor record 144.91, held by the great Sebastian Coe. In the field here, in lane 1, is Vladimir Graudyn of the Soviet Union, Fauzo of Lahbi of Morocco, Rob Druppers of the Netherlands, and he will be the favorite. Druppers will be the favorite. He is in lane 3. Stanley Redwine of the United States in lane 4. And Stanley could take a run at him. We'll have to see how he runs. Babacar Niang of Senegal is in 5. Giordani Quizera is in 6. Jose Luis Barbosa is in 7. And Slobodan Popovic of Yugoslavia is in lane 8. Frank Shorter, 4 laps.
This oversized track indoors really lends itself to races like the 800 meters because there really isn't a premium for being in front in these kind of races anymore. You can lay back and you can kick. You can let someone else take the lead.
And in the white, that is Giordani Quizera taking the early lead as he sets the pace. 19 years of age. He attends high school in Cottage Grove, Minnesota. He's from Burundi.
And Stanley Redwine taking the lead, deciding the pace is a little slow.
Meanwhile, Rob Druppers is comfortably in 4th place.
And well situated. He's running very comfortably, and he hasn't had to use any energy to really place himself where he wants to be. Barbosa in 2nd place from Brazil. Very good runner. But right now, Druppers is where he wants to be, and Redwine really shouldn't be running out in front at this point. 52.71 at 400 meters. Good pace, but not exceptionally fast, so it does favor the kicker, the strong finisher.
Stanley Redwine leads. Jose Luis Barbosa is running 2nd. Quizera is 3rd. Druppers is...
And Barbosa, and Druppers is not on them yet.
It is Redwine and Barbosa. And Lahbi trying to challenge from the inside. It is Barbosa taking the lead. And Barbosa wins it, but coming up from the outside, coming from back in the pack from the Soviet Union, is Vladimir Graudyn for 2nd place. Are you surprised by this turn of events?
You win races with your tactics, the way Barbosa did, right on Redwine's shoulder. He was going to wait around the turn, slingshot off the turn. You actually can run downhill off these turns. And look at Druppers running like an amateur. I used the word lightly. In the back, getting thrown back. Redwine standing still on the straightaway, and Barbosa running a perfectly run tactical race.
And we'll be back with more of the World Indoor Championships from the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis in just a moment. Here in Indianapolis, there were 2 running events. You saw one of them earlier, the men's 60-meter hurdles. There was another one, and we'll now go back in time and take a look at that event with our call. The finals of the women's 60 meters dash. The world indoor record held by Nellie Cooman of Holland, and she is in this field today. In lane 1 from the United States is Michelle Finn. In lane 2 from Canada, Angela Bailey. Lane 3, Merlene Audi-Page of Jamaica. And the world record holder, Nellie Cooman of Holland, is in lane 4, and she stands just a touch over 5 feet tall. Lane 5, Aniela Nuneva of Bulgaria. Lane 6, Angela Issajenko of Canada. In lane 7 is Elsvater of Holland, and in lane 8 is Diane Holden of Australia. Missy?
I believe this race is going to be between 4, 5, and 6 lanes. Cooman has such a dynamic start, and I think that she can pull it out here. She has a very short legs, but they're very powerful. She looks like a stick of dynamite.
Lane 4, there's Nellie Cooman of Holland. Her height an advantage indoors, a disadvantage outdoors.
You're right, Charlie. She concentrates on indoor because she has such an explosive start. She can get her legs under her quicker so that she can get into her full stride sooner than the other taller girls. Outdoors, she seems to lose it after 60 meters, but 60 meters, she has the world record, and she looked good yesterday.
Cooman in 4, Nuneva in 5, Issajenko in 6. And Cooman with a great start. Issajenko going after. Issajenko may have it. It is close. Issajenko, Nuneva, and Cooman, and it may take the photo to separate them.
Issajenko set the world record in 50 meters just a couple of weeks ago. So she was hot. The other day she looked tight.
And we'll go to the photo finish camera to see if we can pick it out. Lane 6 is Issajenko. It's the torso that counts. Oh, it is close. The first look, of course, says Issajenko. Let's go back to an isolated look now of Nellie Cooman.
Here you see Cooman. She gets out very quick with that short stride, those short legs. But it seems like around 30 meters, everyone else began to catch her. Issajenko on her far left seemed to bring it up at the very last 10 meters.
And another look at NBC's photo camera. At the finish line, we'll wait for the official results on this one. Well, they say the camera can lie. We're now back live, and it is Nellie Cooman who was the winner. Issajenko finished second, and followed by Nuneva and then Bailey. The time, a very good time of 7:08. And by the way, in case you're wondering, we checked with her, and the name is pronounced Cooman, and it'll be that way from here to Seoul, so we'll get used to that pronunciation. And Dwight, what is going on in the high jump?
Well, what's happened in the women's high jump is what would have been predicted. Stefka Kostadinova of Bulgaria, the world indoor and outdoor record holder, is the only one left. She's jumping at 6'8 3/4. She has jumped 6'7 1/4 on her first attempt, as did Helm from East Germany. But the East German withdrew from the competition. Here's Kostadinova jumping at 6'8 3/4. This is her first jump. Very flat jump. So she misses that. If she hits the vertical here, will have no problem jumping this height, which happens to match the world record. That's how much potential this particular girl has. She is really head and shoulders above everybody else in the women's high jump.
In the pole vault,
Earl Bell, our national champion, jumping at what would equal his personal record, 5 meters 85, 19.2 1/4. He's currently in first place. And not this time. Sergei Bubka has taken one jump at this height and missed. His last clearance, which is his only jump of the competition, was at 18.6 1/2. He must make this height to get a medal. If Bubka does not make this height and no one else clears, Earl Bell will be the world champion.
On the track, and 200 meters final.
And the next running event will be the men's 200 meters, the finals. The world record is held by the man in lane 6, Bruno Marie Rose of France, and he has the world record. lane 5. Lane 5, excuse me. Bruno Marie Rose of France in lane 5. And Donovan Reed of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is in lane 1. Robson de Silva of Brazil is in 2. James Butler of the United States is in 3. Kirk Baptiste of the United States is in 4. And the world record holder, Bruno Marie Rose, in 5. And Gio Quinerva of France is in 6. James Butler is the American record holder. He was #1 in the world back in 1982. He is in lane 3. Frank?
Charlie, I still think Kirk Baptiste, if he were to run up to his potential, could win this race and set a world record. But Kirk, we've all been waiting for 2-3 years now for him to run very, very well. But he's only run well in the Olympics, really. Maybe this can be his big breakthrough. Bruno Marie Rose is the world record holder, and yet he has not looked that good in the heats. So I still think either James Butler or Kirk Baptiste would have to be the favorite in this race.
Baptiste, the 1984 Olympic silver medalist, and there's Bruno Marie Rose. He is 6'4", and he set the world record 2 weeks ago when he won the European title. Indoors, of course, as that's where we are right now, indoors in the Hoosier Dome.
Bruno Marie Rose has a very distinctive style. It's short and choppy. He's a very tall man, but he runs with what looks like are very short strides, but it's effective for him.
And the crowd reaction on a clearance in the pole vault, and we'll have that for you as we're getting set to go. Dwight?
Sergei Bubka over on his second attempt at 19.2 1/4. Sergei Bubka, incredible speed, and this is a very fast runway. You see, just flies off the pole on his second attempt at 19.2 1/4.
And in the women's high jump,
as Bubka had just cleared in the pole vault, Stefka Kostadinova of Bulgaria has just tied her world record in the high jump with this jump, with room to spare. Not a great technical jump. If she keeps going, she may jump higher. Excuse me, it's a new world record. I'm sorry, 2:04 was the former world record. This is a new world record by Kostadinova.
meanwhile, in the men's 200 meters, everybody has stepped out of the blocks with what's going on in the pole vault and the high jump. We'll take another look.
Let's get another look here. You'll see she does really not go up off the ground straight up in the air. She goes very much more into the pit. You have to realize this is 6'8 1/4. She's not 6 feet tall. If she ever hits the vertical here, she could jump 6'10.
And that is our 6th world indoor record that we have seen this weekend. And now we'll go back to the men's 200 meters. As they go back into the blocks, it is Reed in lane 1, De Silva in 2, Butler of the United States in 3, Kirk Baptiste, United States in 4, Marie Rose of France, the world record holder, in 5, Quinerva of France is in 6. 200 meters, 1 lap in the lanes. Marie Rose beginning to close the stagger. Baptiste goes with him, but it is Butler now closing the stagger on Baptiste. So it is James Butler leading into the turn. And coming out of the turn, it is Baptiste in 4. Baptiste pulling away from Bruno Marie Rose, with De Silva of Brazil challenging to finish in 2nd.
Kirk Baptiste showing a lot of talent. He had much more speed on the final straightaway. Coming off the last turn, he started to lift his arms. You don't know whether this was in victory or because he was a little off balance. There's some soft spots in this track. But James Butler, with a bandage on his leg in the red in the middle, starts to make up the stagger on Kirk Baptiste. But here he stops gaining, and this is where Kirk Baptiste won this race. He carried his momentum into the turn, turns it on right here. Now let's watch what he does with his hands. He gets on the straightaway, goes bloop. I think he was putting his arms up in victory, but I think he decided, well, maybe I better lower him and make sure I win.
Baptiste with the victory, Marie Rose 2nd. De Silva comes in 3rd, the men's 200 meters. We'll be back in a moment.
In the 200 meters, Kirk Baptiste, congratulations. This was a strategic race for you, wasn't it?
It was, because I was really concerned about my start. If I was lucky enough to get a good start, I was going to come up ahead and win the race.
Now, you're known as a notoriously slow starter, we should tell our viewers.
Oh, yes, Larry. You know, by the first heat, I went out very slow and had to gain ground towards the end, but today I really concentrated on my race, on my start, and got out with a good start.
You threw your hands up. Did you think you were crossing the finish line prematurely down there?
I got kind of happy, I guess. I wanted the race to end, but luckily, I kind of threw my hands up.
A little dangerous, Kirk.
Yeah, it was, because James Butler was closing in.
Yeah, it was. Congratulations, world champion.
Well, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Charlie?
Thank you, Larry, and our congratulations also. There has been a turn of events in the women's 400-meter dash. Sabine Busch, who crossed the finish line first, has been disqualified for running out of her lane, and that means that Lillie Leatherwood, King of the United States, who was second, now is first, and she wins the gold medal. We'll go back, Missy Kane, and take a look.
It was his first curve where she stepped on the line.
Lane 4, Sabine Busch of East Germany.
It was the first curve there that she stepped on the line. She's so tall, she might have been trying to compensate to stay inside of her lane, stepped on the line. She's stepping on it again, the far curve. And here comes Lillie Leatherwood when she thought she was getting the silver and ends up getting the gold. But it was the first curve there, I believe, that she did step on the line.
And of course they were in the lanes, you know, and then they broke for the pole. So it was called early on in the race in the first 3/4 of the first lap. So Lillie Leatherwood, King of the United States, is the gold medalist, the world indoor champion in the women's 400-meter dash. And we'll be back with more of the World Indoor Championships as you look now at the official results in the women's 400 meters. Next live final, the women's 1500. The world record is just over 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 0.8. It is held by Mary Decker-Slaney, who, by the way, had foot surgery not too long ago, has come back, won a 10K in Phoenix, and set a course record. And if you add Mary Decker-Slaney to this field, you would have a pure Olympic finals. In lane 1 is Matica Juniatu of Romania. In lane 2 is Darlene Beckford of the United States. In lane 3 is Nicolina Jatereva of Bulgaria. In lane 4 is Doina Malinte of Romania. Kirsty Wade of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is in lane 5. In lane 6 is Ivana Valterova of Czechoslovakia. In lane 7 is Tatiana Samolenko of the Soviet Union. If you were with us yesterday, you saw her win the women's 3,000. She's trying to come back and double in the 1,500. In lane 8 is Sandra Gasser of Switzerland. Svetlana Kotova of the Soviet Union is in lane 9, and Cristina Jaru of Guatemala is in lane 10.
Charlie, I think this is going to be a tactical race. Mary Decker-Slaney's not here. She likes to force the pace. With her not here, you don't have a pace setter. And I think it's going to come down. There's 2 Soviets in here, Kotova and also Samolenko, who we saw yesterday, and they have enormous kicks. They can run a last quarter in sub 60 seconds. So there will be somebody to contend with.
And there is Samolenko, ranked first in the world last year, number 1 at the women's 1,500. This again a 200-meter track, so 7.5 laps for the 1,500.
Darlene Beckford is in this field in the 2nd position from the United States. She's been around the scene a long time. She's a Harvard graduate, and she's been around since she was 14 years old. She's been running well this year, Charlie, but she's going, there she is right there. She's going to have to go out to the front of the pack to run well.
The women's 1,500. And Svetlana Kotova of the Soviet Union goes out to set the early pace. Are you surprised with that?
I am surprised.
I am too, yes.
The Soviets mentioned to people that she was in very good shape and that she has very good speed. I'm very surprised here. They could be setting something up with the other Soviet girl. Samolenko is back in the 5th position right now, and she's the girl that can run sub 60 the last 400 meters. Number 1 in the world last year. Right behind her, Doina Malinte. She was a gold medalist in 800 meters, silver in the 1,500 meters. Malinte, you can see, Charlie, how long her legs are. She has a hard time getting into a sprint.
And Doina Malinte likes to stay up front. There's no question about that. She will run from the front if she wants to.
She has to, but you can see Samolenko is in perfect position right now. She's about 3rd back right there, but here goes Kirsty Wade. She is from Great Britain, and she was the Commonwealth champion 1,500 meters last year. Kirsty Wade is very strong. 65 for the first quarter. That's about, well, that's really 4 minutes flat for 1,500 meters, which is a very fast pace.
This is the women's 1500 coming up with 5 laps to go. Now let's go to Dwight Stones.
Stefka Kostadinova, second attempt at 6:10 1/4, which would be in excess of her outdoor record, and that was a much better jump than her first one.
And back now to the women's 1500.
The second position, Kirsty Wade. 2 years ago, it came down to the wire with a race between her and Mary Decker-Slaney. She's a very strong runner, but she's going to have to push the pace before the last 400 meters. You can tell, look at Samolenko in lane 2 there on 3 wide, but yesterday she ran the 3,000 meter. She looks so easy. You can tell right here. They're running a 4:18 mile pace, but yet she looks like she's jogging. Darlene Beckford is starting to move up, which she has to do, but she's running very wide right here.
And Samolenko moving up on the outside is now in the 3rd position. Kitova, the Soviet Union, continuing to lead, with Kirsty Wade of Great Britain running in 2nd right off of her shoulder. Number 4th is Doina Malinte of Romania. Those are the top 4.
2:14, Charlie. They've really slowed down. They were 65 the first quarter. That was about a 69, so you can see how it's getting bunched up. It's very tactical.
And meanwhile, Darlene Beckford of the United States is running in 7th out of this 10-person field. And is kind of right behind the lead pack as they start to string out just a bit here.
I would think the pace is going to start quicken at the 3/4 mark. 3/4 of a mile. Remember, this is 1,500 meters. When they come to the 3/4 point, that means that they have just 100 yards to go.
Svetlana Kitova continuing to lead with Kirsty Wade running on her shoulder, and Samolenko of the Soviet Union, who everyone is keeping an eye on, is running 3rd, right side by side with Doina Malinte of Romania.
Kirsty Wade is going to have to start doing something quick. Okay, Samolenko looks like she's making a little bit of a move. When they come up to the 3/4 mile mark, they have 300 meters to go.
Sandra Gasser of Switzerland now moving into 5th as she battles for that position.
She held out Kitova and the European champion. She won. Someone said that Kitova made a tactical error. Right here, looks like Kitova is making a tactical error there.
Doina Malinte moving up on the outside at the bell. 1 lap to go. Malinte challenges from the outside.
She's running 3 wide right here with her long legs, but there she goes.
And Samolenko goes with her. It is Samolenko and Doina Malinte. And here is Doina Malinte pulling away.
Good knee lift right here. She's very tired, but she's keeping her form, trying to keep her shoulders down.
And Doina Malinte, who won the mile at last week's U.S. Championship, running away with the women's 1500 indoor championship, with Samolenko finishing 2nd. And Svetlana Kitova of the Soviet Union finishing 3rd.
Last year, she had one of the fastest times, 3:58 outdoors. I was surprised with her great kick, though, with the long legs.
And let's go back and take another look at Doina Malinte of Romania. And here she makes her move, and they just can't go with her. Not today.
I was surprised Samolenko might be a little tired from yesterday. And you see them lapping a runner. That was helping her because she was wide already. She's staying inside on the curve very well. Last week, she looked like she had a hard time up in New York. But right here, those wide curves with her long legs, she had a much easier time getting into her final kick. Good arm drive right here. Carried her all the way through the tape for what looks like an easy win.
And the gold medal goes to Doina Malinte of Romania in the women's 1500. We are watching the World Championships indoor track and field from Indianapolis.
Stefka Kostadinova had 3 attempts at a new world record, 6:10 1/4, but she settles for a new world record, 6:08 3/4. Here's her last jump at 6:10 1/4. Again, she had the height and hit it with her legs on the way down. She's just head and shoulders better than every other female in the women's high jump, period.
And she set one of the 6 world records as you look at the results panel of the women's high jump. But this weekend here in the first World Indoor Track and Field Championships, the IAAF, which is the International Amateur Athletic Federation, 6 world records. That was one. You saw the men's 60 meters, Ben Johnson. The men's 60-meter hurdles, Greg Foster. That took place earlier. The women's 200 meters, Heike Dressler with a 22:27. The men's 200, Kirk Baptiste with a 20:73. Marie Rose, and now at the pole vault. Dwight?
This is Thierry Vigneron of France. Now, he has done a lot of passing, as the French normally do in the pole vault. He's in a position where he's either going to take over the lead by jumping 19.4 1/4, or he can end up as badly as 4th place. So he has got a lot on the line on this particular jump, his final attempt at 19.4 1/4. And it's not to be today. Thierry Vigneron takes the gamble and is unable to convert, but he will be the bronze medalist, which makes Earl Bell of the United States the silver medalist.
Also, two other world records, if you were counting, in the women's 3,000-meter walk, the men's 5,000-meter walk. Actually, 7 world records if you want to count the crowd. 20,970. That is also a world record. In the medal count, Soviet Union with 15, United States with 11, East Germany with 8, Bulgaria with 5. That's not including the count in the pole vault. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. Sports World produced by Carla Engelman. Directed by J.D. Hansen. The World Indoor Championships produced by John Gonzalez. Directed by Andy Rosenberg. Technical directors Steve Semino and Sal Nagita. The pole vault, of course, continues here, and we'll be updating that story in our coverage of the Honda Golf Classic. And be sure to join us in 3 weeks when the superstars return to Sports World. Among those you'll see will be the 1986 Indy 500 winner Danny Sullivan, the man with the golden arm Jim Kelly of the Buffalo Bills, along with Heisman Trophy winner Vinny Testaverde, Herschel Walker, the Dallas Cowboys. That's coming March the 29th to NBC Sports World. I'm Charlie Jones, along with Frank Shorter, Dwight Stone's Missy Kane, and Larry Rawson. And from Indianapolis, we'll be going to Florida. So stay tuned for the Honda Golf Classic from Coral Springs, Florida, next on NBC Sports.